In today's episode, we debut a classic livery for our home race at the British Grand Prix, but technical signal issues means we drive blind, and this is quite literally our actual view at some point in the race. We've got to the halfway point of this Season 5 of F1 25 My Team Career Mode. Quite amazingly, the first half of this season has flown by, and there's been so much action, and included last time out in Austria, where we underfueled the car by a decent margin and risked it to try and gain an advantage that basically lasted most of the race and allowed us to sail through with Oscar Piastri to his first race win of the season and with this team, and it was a dominant win. You basically didn't even see us in the last stint because we just made the correct tyre choices. The AI, the entire grid, were a little bit questionable in their decisions, but it didn't matter. In the end, our own AI teammate Antonelli also came through for second place. So it's the team's first 1-2 in partnership with Jaguar. And as we come to the British Grand Prix, the halfway point of the season, Antonelli leads, Ocon in second, Piastri up to third, Verstappen still there in fourth place. But as we go to our home race, it is time for another one-off livery. You guys will hopefully know from the start of this season, we've got 4 scheduled for this season. We've done the first one. It was Castrol at the Monaco Grand Prix, and now we get to number 2. It is a classic XJS livery for Jaguar. This goes back to the Jaguar XJS, which won at the Spa 24 Hours in 1983. It is a very old school, simplistic livery, so it was a little bit complicated to get that to work as effectively as I wanted on an F1 chassis, because this is the original car, very big bluff object, a lot of real estate. The F1 car a bit more sleek, but I hopefully think you'll agree that we got that, you know, white line that goes from the rear to the front, I think pretty accurately straight across the entire chassis face when you look at the car from flat on, and then elsewhere it's a very simplified retro style livery with the halo in black, bit more of a subdued look. We've got the lettering, the numbering, I should say, in a retro font now, and the white creeps over onto the side pod edges just to give it a nice little outline tinge. But the rest of it has been quite simplified, really. You know, where we had the HSBC logos, we've now got XJS, and on the original Jaguar XJS, they had a number in white on the side. We can't obviously have 2 unique numbers on the side of our 2 cars, so instead we've got the XJS logo in that white box, but I think that fits really nicely, and on the overalls as well, reflected of what we are celebrating in this race with this one-off livery, as we swap over from Piastri's win to Kimi Antonelli as we go to the British Grand Prix.
A one-time airfield fully owned by cars in this era. One of the finest ribbons of racetrack anywhere on Earth. It's high speed, it's dramatic. It's Silverstone.
We come here to Silverstone off the back of a great race in Austria, but knowing the competition is rife. I mean, if you remember in that Austria race, there were many parts where Verstappen looked insanely quick. Obviously, Ferrari and Ocon have been there. And, you know, Colapinto quietly actually recovered quite well in that race, and he's still fairly high up in the standings, considering him and Red Bull Ford haven't won a race yet this season. So I'm still sort of thinking at some point Red Bull also might enter the fray with a win and could really get up there with Colapinto, to be honest, if you really look at the standings. But what is very apparent is competition is so high, and Williams Porsche remind us that they are still a player in this season. They had a really slow start with 2 DNFs in a row with Tsunoda, then they had those 2 different wins, and then they've had a bit of a quieter period again after that. Quite unlucky, to be honest, if you look at the races where they've just got caught up in incidences or been stuck in traffic. And now, as we come to also Williams' home race, of course, they're wanting to maybe show they've still got some pace. And, you know, from Monaco, I thought it was going to be a real, you know, almost like a romantic sort of duel with our ex-engine partner, Porsche and Williams. That kind of faded a little bit, and we had to worry more about Ferrari in the recent races. And, of course, we had our own little tantrum with Max Verstappen around the Canadian Grand Prix. So there are so many different storylines here building, different rivalries building, and so much competition that you really can't call it. And if anything, as we go on through the season, it's just been getting more and more competitive in terms of everyone's wanting to show that they've got what it takes maybe to get a couple of good results and get some points. So let's see. I mean, in this second part of quali, it's just about getting through, really, and it's not a disaster this time for any of the big names. Verstappen's through, Stroll's through, though, as well. McLaren looking pretty good with both cars. Williams, Porsche, both up there. Ferrari, you could say maybe a little bit disappointing for Albon to drop off, but clearly Ocon's been the stronger man in the Scuderia. And for the first time, very nicely to highlight, Gabriel Bortoleto looking quick in the Honda. He's the one through, Lawson not. So it's Bortoleto finally on top of that new Honda car that he transferred to, of course, from Audi from last season to this one. And then elsewhere, Mercedes with both cars in as well. So a very strong showing for many into the top 10 shootout. A really poor one for Red Bull Ford. We just mentioned them, you know, still banking on, I think they could still do something. Well, if they continue at this rate, this is back-to-back Q2 knockouts. They're not going to go anywhere fast. As we're now into the top 10 shootout, it's overcast. Of course it is, as the clouds have come over. The sun has departed us here in Britain, and the track might get a little bit colder, a bit slipperier, and it definitely is in the final corners. We have a massive snap of oversteer. I think it was on for a pretty decent lap, but that was a big snap, and that is going to get us down the order even further down than Piastri even, as we start our second flyer. Oh, it's typical British weather, isn't it? It's starting to rain. Look at the halo. Look at the spits of rain. And we've got it all to do. We're P8. Piastri's way up the order, actually outdoing us as an AI teammate here. We're in the middle of the two Mercedes cars, but the first sector's not been amazing. Second sector, neither as well. Two greens, but we're only a 10th above our first flying lap. We need more than a 10th. We need a couple of 10ths. But look at the understeer. The grip isn't there. The wet weather is really coming to ruin the day for us in our home race for the team. Oh, it's a disaster. It's so disappointing, and it's been that way on this game on F1 25. Silverstone, I am just stamping the approval right now. It's a bogey track for me on this game, you know, specifically. You know, I think last year it was pretty good for us. F1 23, it was a pretty good track for us, but historically, over the course of, you know, the 10 plus years I've been playing F1 games, Silverstone's actually not been a great hunting ground for me, and certain games have been really difficult. I think, you know, F1 2021 comes to mind. Really, really difficult where the AI was so quick. And F1 25 definitely has been a place where the AI have been super quick around here. And we're just getting unlucky with things like this, where we make a mistake in the first lap, and then the second lap, of course, there's rain to come. So it's going to be P8 for us. Piastri's, well, higher than us, but not much better. P5, and it's quite large gaps to Ocon, Aaron, and Verstappen. You know, Aaron and Ocon, especially in a class of their own. It's the Ferrari on pole position. Sorry, didn't even really clock that. For the first time, I think, is that a Ferrari on pole position. So they really are back here this season, fighting right up there. Aaron with a good showing. Verstappen has maybe something to prove after Austria, where he got ping-ponged around with damage. Let's go to the grid and see how this one shakes out.
We meet again at Silverstone for one of the great Formula One races of the entire calendar. With a barely believable capacity crowd creating a phenomenal atmosphere, it is time for a race that puts a smile on your face. It is time for the British Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Esteban Ocon yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And it's Paul Aaron in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Bortoleto, Norris, Antonelli, Sainz, and Lance Stroll, Pepe Marti, Doohan, Franco Colapinto, and Albon, Lawson, Crawford, Zane Maloney, and Pierre Gasly, Solov, Martins, O'Sullivan, and Taylor Barnard completes the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And so we welcome you to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this race, and it's going to be some race, is Anthony Davidson. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Strategy-wise here for Silverstone, it's looking surprising like most people will be able to make a one-stop work. Medium to the hard tyre. Bortoleto, though, on the soft after impressing for the first time in Honda this season. That's an interesting one. Do Honda think they can pull off a one-stop with soft to hard? Are they committing early to a two-stop? Who knows? But I feel like the tyre wear advantage we've enjoyed this season so far is probably not going to come into play, and is going to make things a little bit harder then, because we're down the order in 8th place. Piastri only a couple of positions ahead in P5, and clearly Verstappen, Aaron, Ocon, 3 different teams looking strong. Will it be Ferrari? Will it be Williams, Porsche, McLaren? Or can we jump up the order and get into the mixer with our XJS one-off livery here at our home race, the British Grand Prix? Lights out, and we're underway here in Silverstone. It's a pretty good start actually compared to Lando Norris on the left-hand side, but Bortoleto's got a better jump on the soft compound into turn 1. We managed to jump the Brit into Village on the inside of the Honda, trying to nip at his heels, but he's on a much quicker compound, so in the end we actually probably just accept that he's going to out-traction us here. We got on the curve a little bit, that spits us out a tiny bit, so we have to settle in for P7. Piastri remains in P5. It's Ocon from Verstappen up to 2nd place. Aaron and Tsunoda 3-4 for the Williams Porsche in a bit of a Noah's Ark situation, but Verstappen, surprise, surprise, up there now in 2nd, hunting down Esteban Ocon in the Ferrari. But look at that, the Ferrari leading from the lights. That's again not a view we've been used to for over nearly 2 seasons. That is Verstappen a little bit actually closer to Aaron than he is Ocon, so maybe the Williams Porsches will be pressurizing. And I've got to say, I think we've done a very good job with the XJS livery. Just that shot of Piastri through the final 2 corners, when you see that livery flat on, I think we've done a very good job mimicking that old school XJS livery with the white line across the entire body, and definitely with the white box as well on the side pod. Definitely has that old school feel, that old school livery feel, where it's just a couple of shapes, nothing too flashy, and it's a nice little throwback. Is Gasly we see down in 17th place, Albon as well. Those two have to make some moves today. Colapinto as well. It's going to need another recovery drive for Red Bull Ford in this race. If Verstappen goes for the move, he goes for the lead, he's taken the lead on lap 2 now, on towards 3, he's in the lead. Bortoleto caught up in the dirty air of Piastri, he goes defensive, he's vulnerable, he knows that he's messed up there a little bit. Can we get down the inside? Oh, wheel to wheel stuff. Bortoleto has the grip though, mid-corner. Is there going to be a through goes Norris moment behind us? The Mercedes could try and overtake one of us or both, I don't know, into Village. We're still fighting Bortoleto, and we get the move done eventually, but that was a little bit sketchy into the final corner, losing the rear. The Honda had the grip mid-corner, and in those situations you just think now about the car behind, ever since that infamous Hamilton move, that maybe the car behind can get us, as Bortoleto goes back down the inside, and look at Norris. Norris comes in with an aggressive move, taps us on the left-hand side, and we're down 2 places, not just 1. We're now having to fight the Brit through Luffield, and we're now banging tyres as we're neck and neck towards the run to Copse. Who's going to blink first into the right-hander? It's going to be him. We get ahead, but the Mercedes is really quick, it seems, throughout the fast corners, and Bortoleto caught us by surprise, and really more so that Mercedes car very aggressive there from Lando Norris into the Luffield section, and we're now going to try and recreate what he did on Bortoleto. Couldn't quite make it work. That soft tire still okay, thereabouts. We're trying a very audacious move on the outside, doesn't quite work through Luffield, but we now set up the catapult, I like to say, into Copse. As we now get the slipstream pulled to the inside, lift off a little, give Bortoletto the room. We don't want a repeat of 2021 as we go into Maggots, through into Beckett's then as well. Bortoletto has got us, and the dirty air is killing us today as Norris is through into 7th place. I think you also just got to admit, we don't have pace around here. Piastri's no better. You know, P5 ahead, nowhere near Aaron. Once again, the My Team car on F125 is just not performing well. And the AI, they're so strong around here. You've got to give it to them. They're very strong around here. And we just can't get it as Marty in the pink BWT Haas looking for a move on the inside of Carlos Sainz. Bit of a train forming behind Carlos. So is the cork going to pop eventually for Marty, for Stroll? Doohan is in there in the Renault as well, as now Norris making a move on Bortoletto. Lovely panning shot as we go towards Luffield. The Brit up into 6th place now and can chase after his former McLaren teammate in P5 there. Up ahead in the top 4, Tsunoda gaining, and looking to make the move on the Ferrari. Ocon from pole. Oh, good fight back. Good fight back. I thought that was nailed on, but no, Ocon maintains the position as we continue to see Norris and Bortoletto fighting, and that just gives us the open to get it down the inside into that chicane. A bit over-aggressive on Bortoletto because I'm a little bit annoyed at this point because 5 laps in, he's really held up our progress. We should have at least been where Piastri is, and now we're going to be even more aggressive and give Norris a taste of his own medicine, cutting across into that left-hander and on board. Very much deja vu in terms of the view from his onboard to my onboard of when he punted us a little bit into that section. But now Norris comes through as we look at the overhead camera, and we're going to have to give him a little bit of room to work with in mid-apex. My God, the Mercedes car is being aggressive as ever. It's another bit of contact here. It's getting a little bit frosty between Antonelli and Norris here, as now it's second time lucky. Can Tsunoda get this on the Ferrari? No, not quite. Ocon defending really well, and he's giving Verstappen a lot of breathing room, you got to say, as we now try and finally make that move on Norris, and then Bortoletto actually has a nip at Norris behind, and then Colapinto up to 12th place, looking to try and gain on Lance Stroll. Gasly is side by side with the Audi. What's going on with Red Bull Ford? They were fighting for podiums, fighting for top spots at the start of the season, and as of late, they've just had a string of really poor qualifyings. And I mean, Red Bull, he's fighting an Audi. The Audi, I know, got some points earlier in the season, but it's Audi. They've not been great. They're the slowest team, and it's just not where Red Bull should be based off their actual car they've got. As now, third time lucky, Tsunoda on the outside of Copse keeps his foot planted to the floor, and it's going to be surely the overtake into Maggots and Beckett's. Yes, he gets it done. The Japanese driver up into 2nd place, and the Ferrari is in a Williams Porsche sandwich, and Aaron now looking for the pass straight away. So Tsunoda took 4 laps, 3 attempts. Aaron, could he do this in one go? No, not quite. The Ferrari's actually got enough pace to keep the Williams at bay for another lap, and the Ferrari definitely in race trim, putting up a much bigger fight this season than it ever did in the last season. But quietly Verstappen leading for a number of laps now. He's not fully checked out of this though. Tsunoda's within DRS, so it looks like Tsunoda's actually going to chase after Max Verstappen, and that's exactly what's going to happen on lap 10. Watch this. The Japanese driver, where will he go? To the inside. Verstappen tries to bit of the squeeze, but Tsunoda is fully through with DRS aided. Has to get the elbow out. Verstappen, what a move! What a move from the Dutchman to come back through. How has he done that? Unbelievable stuff from Max Verstappen back into the lead of the race. Tsunoda comes through for the second bite at the cherry, and now he gets in. Verstappen's now losing out to Ocon. What's going on here? It's deja vu from Austria to Silverstone. Verstappen losing multiple places in one go. What is going on? It all started off really well. Is he facing tyre wear? Has he got a car issue? I don't know. But Max, he was leading for so long, and now he's 3rd place of all places. Tsunoda leads, and Ocon in 2nd.
Don't forget
And we're being told to box this lap. The tyre icon is orange, so yeah, the tyre advantage we've enjoyed really has been removed this race, it would seem, and we've done well to get this far, to be honest, because the car hasn't been feeling great for the last 4 laps, to be honest. You know, we spoke a lot before in the season where numerically maybe the tyre wear was high, but the car felt fine. But yeah, this was the first time that the car felt a little bit awful. So we're in. Piastri carries on. Surprisingly, Norris carries on. I thought Norris would follow us in, really. So yeah, Piastri, is he going to get undercut here by ourselves? It might do. Might. I mean, that's kind of the hope for our sake, for our race, as we come in onto the hard tyres, and that will be to the end of the race, unless something crazy happens. But it's been a very clean Grand Prix so far. There were some cars that had come in before us that were behind, including, I think, Lawson. Was it here in the other Honda? He wasn't ahead of us. Bortoletto has jumped back ahead, so both Hondas have got the undercut on us, and now we have to re-overtake Lawson into the last sector, up into P13. Bortoletto 1.8 seconds ahead, so Honda have played that very well with the strategy to get that advantage, and now we're having to dig deep to catch back up to Bortoletto, the man that we overtook already beforehand. And now other pit stops coming in. Where is Norris going to be? Where is Piastri going to be in all of this as we come through the first corner? There's Piastri. We're going to be neck and neck into Village. We're going to give him the room. He is our teammate. We're not going to be too over aggressive. I mean, so far, halfway through the season, I think you'll agree, I think this has probably been the cleanest and the most smoothest partnership we've had. Piastri and Antonelli as we gain, blipping the ERS, looking for the move around the outside, and I mean, commentator's curse, I spoke a bit too soon. There was a little bit of contact there as Piastri actually gave a bit of a wider berth to the corner and just went a bit wide. His lap 14, after the round of pit stops, Paul Aaron leads the way. Hang on a minute, and he's broken DRS nearly from Ocon in second, Verstappen third, Marty in 4th place. What? The Haas in 4th. What's going on? Sonoda's had a mare. What? Did Williams double stack? How Sonoda ended up in 5th place from first as he got Verstappen? Verstappen's remained in 3rd, Ocon's remained 2nd, Aaron's the one in 1st. How has that actually happened? And Marty, what a insane position to be in P4, but is he yet to pit? I don't know. What tyre is he on? Because Sonoda overtakes him. I think Marty, is he on hards or media? Has he pit? I really can't tell, actually, if Marty's yet to pit or not. I guess we're going to find out, but Paul Aaron has surprised everyone here, I would say, around Silverstone, being in the lead here, as on to lap 16, 10 laps to go, and we are gaining on Bortoletto to try and make that repass, inches away from making contact. We can't quite get it there. Now into Village, though. Big dive, get the elbow out, and we're into P6. Piastri, by the way, he's fallen behind Lawson, so Piastri had a very good first stint, but now he's getting what we had, basically, where he's getting caught up in traffic and unable to show the pace of the car, and there's not much pace in it, really. Honestly, genuinely, we're slower than Williams, slower than McLaren, Ferrari, and maybe, well, Haas is in, Marty's in, so that was an out of position place for him, so we carry on.
Just so you know, we're getting some strange readings from a couple of the sensors, so I don't think you need to be worried, just some bad data, so keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
Up to P5, I was going to say, which is solid, I think, considering the pace of our car, and really honestly trying to keep Norris at an arm's length and bring this home in P5. But now, with an apparent telemetry issue, which is never ideal, not something you want to really be hearing, especially in the middle of a live racing session, and usually doesn't really equate to much issue, but oh no, we're driving blind. Our telemetry has all gone. The signal, it's gone for everything. Our heads-up display is no more, and it is just us and the car. I mean, there's something peaceful about it, and we've had this before last season in the middle of qualifying. The Spanish Grand Prix, I think it was, and in qualifying it was quite nice actually just to be one with the car, but when we've got, you know, 9 laps to go, we have no data now. I have no way of even knowing what lap it is until our engineer tells us it's the last lap. So really we're living the true immersive F1 driver life, because they don't have a heads-up display in real life, of course, in the cockpit. As Colapinto there, sorry, as we focus back on the racing action, he's up to 7th place. So Franco Colapinto with a sterling effort to recover from what was P12 in the first stint to P7 now. Really big recovery drive for him, showing why he's still kind of low-key, just surprisingly there in the championship standings, as Tsunoda now is catching back up to Verstappen to make the overtake for P3. Honestly, this is Verstappen and McLaren. This is looking all too familiar to Verstappen and McLaren last season. How many times did we see Verstappen qualifying well last season and then he would fall away in stints because of what? I don't know, tyre wear, race pace or whatever. It seemed like it was fixed at the start of this season, but it's come back to bite him, whereas Stroll is actually overtaking cars. He's overtaken our own teammate Piastri, as Piastri's really fallen away with pace on the hard compound tyre, and both Hondas, well, they made a second pit stop. Marty as well, 2 stops for those guys, abysmal for them, out the points, and instead it is Paul Aaron in the lead still, looking really comfy, as we're being told yellow flags, and that's honestly the only info I've got, because this is still our view. No idea about anything in this race until someone tells us.
Okay, so gap to the car ahead, 3.3 seconds.
Okay, gap to the car ahead, 3.3. I believe it's Verstappen now, because Tsunoda's overtaken him, so 3.3 seconds to Verstappen, but I don't think we'll be catching. We just don't have the pace, really. You know, put this signal issue aside, we didn't have the pace today. We're going to put our hands up. We did not have the pace today. Is Lance Stroll slow? Stroll slow. Oh, after a great overtake on Piastri, he is going to retire from this race. McLaren's woes go from bad to worse. Not only did they lose the lead with Verstappen down to P4, but Stroll's out of this completely, is on lap 22. Martins in the Cadillac overtakes Gasly in a phase of the season where Colapinto is clearly now the stronger Red Bull driver, being the new transfer into Red Bull. Gasly's the team leader, but he's falling away. Gasly, Pierre, what is happening to him? Colapinto, solid effort, and Gasly is getting overtaken by 2 Cadillacs as Tsunoda grabs the overtake on Ocon on lap 23 with only 2 laps to go. He makes it a 1-2 for Williams Porsche. But there are big question marks on how on earth did this even happen. I think they double stacked or something in the pit stop phase where Aaron just got a massive jump. Because this has got to be shocking to Tsunoda and the team, to be honest. Aaron being in P1.
Okay, final lap. Let's go. Final lap.
Finally being told it's the last lap. I wouldn't have known otherwise, so thankfully Mark has told me that. So it is the final lap with this very unusual, unorthodox way of driving a race, blind. But as we come down the crest with the Porsche Racing Experience Centre in the background, it's going to be all Porsche here at the British Grand Prix. Williams and Porsche win, and it's a 1-2, but it's Paul Aaron's first ever Formula One win. His first win for the team, but first win ever. That's unreal for Aaron. He kind of deserved it, really, from the start of the season, where he was so strong when Tsunoda was getting those 2 DNFs. Tsunoda will be questioning his team of how he managed to be behind him in that race. And for us, well, question marks about the telemetry. We finished in P5 at least.
This has been truly magnificent. It's victory for Paul Aaron.
To come here and take victory as a team today on home soil was so important. You can see how much it means to them. The drivers there doing their part. The team's strategy was perfect as well. And the fans really embraced that. What a great atmosphere we had here today.
Here they are now. I always love seeing the independent teams do well. Williams have had a long and storied history with F1, and I'm delighted to see them on the top step of the podium.
It's a big podium. It's a big win for Paul Aaron and a big win for Williams Porsche to remind us all that they're still a threat in the season. But we still lead the way with Antonelli, but 1 point is Ocon. So Ocon's consistency is keeping him in this very much so. And you know, races like this where we just weren't as strong is obviously playing into our rivals with you know, Aaron catching up. Verstappen's still there despite maybe a disappointing race for him. Colapinto is still surprisingly high despite not winning a race. But he's being let down by Gasly a bit for Red Bull's sake. In the constructors, Ferrari still at an arm's length, I feel. You know, but Ferrari's kind of driving with one driver only, Ocon. Williams, I still think, is the real threat. both of the drivers, 1-2. If they just have another race like this, they could be right up there for the constructors. So I still think it might be us versus our old engine supplier when it comes to the team championship. And the drivers, it's anyone's. Ocon could be up there. Verstappen, if McLaren want to sort out their car. It's all to play for still with the second half of the season to go. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.